The human factor. 6 months passed since the first battle. The Dragon network grew stronger each day, spreading across 12 worlds. The silver marks appeared on thousands of people from dozens of species. The council expanded, including representatives from every bonded world. Laurel stood in the great observatory watching the stars. The crown showed her the silver paths connecting worlds and dragons. The distant presence of the greater dragon still sleeping, but more aware now. Responding to the growing network, Kelsey entered carrying reports from Earth. "The dragon eggs we sent have hatched," she said. 50 new dragons have bonded with children in every major city. Earth fully supports the alliance. Now Laurel nodded, not surprised. The dragons chose well, finding riders with open hearts and minds. The silver network on Earth grew faster than expected, humans adapting quickly to the bond. The children, May, Diane, and Patricia, had grown too. Their dragons nearly full size now. Their understanding of the bond deeper than many adults. They led the training academy, teaching new riders from all worlds. The diplomatic mission to the Free Hive had succeeded better than hoped. Ambassador Zex proved honest in his desire for alliance. His people had, indeed, broken from the central hive mind, seeking individual thought and freedom. 20 Free Hive representatives had even formed dragon bonds, their insect bodies marked with silver patterns. General Ilara and her defense forces patrolled the borders. Of allied space dragon riders trained in combat and rescue worked together regardless of species or world of origin. The old divisions fading as the silver network united them. The Empress, now called simply Lyra, led diplomatic efforts, bringing more worlds into the alliance. She had found new purpose in building connections rather than ruling alone. Her wisdom and experience respected by all, but beneath this progress lay growing concern. Intelligence from Free Hive sources confirmed the greater hive prepared for war. The central mind, outraged by the loss of one of its queens, gathered forces from hundreds of worlds. The attack, when it came, would dwarf the first invasion. The council had prepared as best they could. The Dragon network expanded, training accelerated, defenses strengthened. But would it be enough? The question haunted Laurel as she watched the stars. Movement caught her eye. A small shadow dragon appeared beside her. Patricia, following close behind the young girl, now 10 years old, carried herself with quiet confidence, her silver marks more complex than before, showing her growing bond. "You worry too much," said Patricia, with the directness of youth. "The greater dragon is almost ready." Laurel smiled at the child. "Your shadow dragon sees far," she acknowledged. Patricia nodded. "Shadows connect all places," she said, repeating what her dragon had taught her. "They touch everything." The girl looked up at the stars. "I can feel the greater dragon dreams. It remembers fighting the hive long ago. It lost many children. May and Diane joined them, their dragons waiting outside the observatory, too large for the indoor space. The 3 children rarely separated now, their bonds connecting them deeply. The Free Hive ships have detected movement at the border," said May, always practical. Like her lightning dragon, she focused on immediate threats. "They estimate 3 days until contact." Diane, the Earth Dragon rider, placed a tablet on the console, showing defense plans. "The outer colonies have been evacuated," she reported. "Dragon riders have moved civilians to inner worlds. The council is gathering now." Laurel nodded, feeling the crown respond to the growing tension. The silver network hummed with preparation. Every rider, every dragon, aware of what approached. The paths in her mind narrowed, possibilities converging toward confrontation. The council chamber filled with representatives from all allied worlds. The Free Hive ambassador stood with General Ilara, reviewing tactical displays. Lyra spoke with Earth delegates, arranging final evacuations. The old woman Mira consulted ancient texts, searching for forgotten knowledge that might help. Laurel took her place at the center table, the crown glowing brighter as she connected fully to the network. She could feel every dragon, every rider, their fears and determination, their readiness to defend what they had built. "Our scouts report over 500 hive ships approaching," said General Ilara, pointing to the tactical display far, "more than the first invasion. The central mind has committed significant forces." The Free Hive ambassador clicked his mandibles nervously. "They seek not just conquest," he said, but extermination. The central mind cannot allow the dragon bonds to spread. It fears what it cannot control. Lyra stood, her face grave. The outer defense line will slow them, she said, but cannot stop such numbers. We must prepare for battle within our own system. The Earth delegate, a woman named Susan, spoke next. Earth sends 300 new dragon riders, she said. Most young but eager, they await your orders. The council discussed strategy for hours. Dragon formations, defensive positions, evacuation plans. The Silver Network allowed instantaneous communication between worlds, riders sharing information through their bonds. Throughout the discussion, Laurel remained quiet, listening. The crown showed her possibilities, pathways, chances of success. The odds were not good. Even with all their preparation, the hive numbers might overwhelm them. The final path remained unclear. As the council meeting ended, the children approached Laurel. The greater dragon stirs, said Patricia, her eyes distant, seeing through shadows across space. It feels the threat. May nodded. The lightning, paths between stars brighten, she added. Her dragon sense perceiving energy flows across vast distances. Something gathers. Diane placed her hand on the floor, feeling vibrations. The earth dragons across all worlds. Dig deeper, she said. Creating safe spaces. Preparing. Kelsey, who had been recording the council meeting, looked at the children with wonder. They speak like the old woman Mira, she whispered to Laurel. The dragons have taught them so much. Laurel felt it too through the crown. The greater dragon slowly waking, its vast consciousness touching the network. The children more sensitive to its presence, their young minds open to impossible concepts. We need to call it, said Patricia. Suddenly, the three children looked at each other, sharing some understanding Laurel had not grasped. Call it, asked Laurel. The greater dragon. How all the dragons together, said May. The Silver Network focused as one, Diane nodded. The central chamber beneath the palace, she said, where you first found the eggs. The focus point. Laurel considered their words. The crown showed her the possibility, a silver path, thin but bright with potential. The risk enormous. But what choice remained? She gathered the council again, explaining the children's insight. The central chamber beneath the palace had been rebuilt, larger now, a sacred space where new dragon eggs were kept until ready for bonding. The chamber sat at a convergence point of planetary energy lines. We must try, said Lyra, supporting the plan. What have we to lose? General Ilara organized the defense fleets to buy them time. The Free Hive ambassador offered his people's knowledge of hive tactics. Earth and other allied worlds sent their strongest dragon riders. The preparations moved with urgent purpose on. The third day, the hive fleet appeared at the edge of the system. Hundreds of ships moving in perfect formation. The central mind directing every vessel, every soldier. Inside the ships lurked something new. Hive warriors genetically modified to fight. Dragons' weapons designed to disrupt the silver bonds. The allied fleet moved to intercept. Dragon riders flew alongside ships, forming the first defense line. The Silver Network hummed with coordination, each rider, each dragon, knowing their role. The battle began with energy weapons and dragon fire against hive ships. In the central chamber deep beneath the palace, Laurel stood with the children, Kelsey, Lyra, and the old woman Mira. Dragon eggs surrounded them, nestled in crystal beds, their futures uncertain. The chamber glowed with silver light as Laurel fully opened herself to the crown, to the network. Every bonded dragon across 12 worlds felt her call, their riders sharing the connection, each adding their strength to the network. The key, silver marks on thousands of people, glowed in unison. A galaxy-wide consciousness forming for one purpose. Laurel raised her hands, the crown blazing like a star. The children stood around her, their dragons present in spirit if not body. The old woman, Mira, chanted ancient words calling to the first dragons. The Silver Network focused through Laurel, through the crown, reaching across vast distances to where the greater dragon slept. The chamber filled with light, the walls seeming to disappear, stars visible as if they stood in open space. The silver network connecting them all, dragons and riders across worlds, across species, united in purpose, in need, in hope. Above the planet the battle raged. Dragon riders fought with courage and skill. The free hive ships using their knowledge of hive tactics to disrupt formations, allied world vessels providing cover fire. But the hive numbers pushed ever forward. The central mind directing its forces with cold precision through the network. Laurel felt dragon riders fall, their bonds breaking, their silver marks fading. She felt their pain, their loss. The hive weapons specifically targeted the bonds, disrupting the silver connections. Dragons without guidance fell to concentrated fire. Despite all their preparation, the battle turned against them, the hive fleet overwhelming their defenses, breaking through toward the inner worlds. The central mind focused on destroying the source of the dragon bonds, Sylvani Prime. The palace, the chamber where Laurel and the children worked to call the greater dragon. The children felt the losses too, their faces streaked with tears as riders they had trained fell in battle, yet they maintained their. The turning tide. 1 month passed since the great battle. The city slowly rebuilt. Dragon riders flew overhead carrying building materials and supplies. The silver marks connected them all in a network of shared purpose. The dragons, once hidden, now lived openly among the people, choosing new riders each day. Laurel stood on the balcony of the newly rebuilt council chamber. The crown still merged with her skin glowed softly in the morning light. She watched dragon riders practicing flight formations in the sky, their movements more coordinated each day. Kelsey joined her, carrying a tablet filled with notes. The Earth delegation has sent another ship. She said they want to establish permanent relations with the Sylvani, and they want to learn about dragon bonding. Laurel nodded, not surprised. The news of dragons and human riders had spread across the galaxy faster than light speed. Every world wanted dragon allies. Every person dreamed of the bond. But the dragons still chose carefully, taking only those with the right spirit. The council meets in an hour. Kelsey reminded her, the children want to present their training program. Laurel smiled, thinking of May, Diane, and Patricia. The 3 young riders had started teaching others, showing remarkable skill and patience. They understood the dragon bond in ways even she was still learning. Inside the council chamber, representatives from 12 worlds gathered. Empress Lyra sat at the head table, no longer wearing royal regalia, but simple clothing. That marked her as just one voice among many, though still respected for her wisdom and experience. The old woman Mira served as historian, recording the birth of this new alliance. She had revealed herself as more than a simple elder. She had once been keeper of dragon lore before the royal family restricted such knowledge. Her eyes missed nothing as she wrote in her ancient book, Captain Alara, now General. Alara commanded the new defense force. Dragon riders trained for protection, not war. She had adapted quickly to working with humans and other species, finding strengths where before she had only seen differences. Laurel took her place at the center table, the crown marking her not as ruler, but as connector, the one who maintained the dragon network that united them all. She had accepted this role knowing it was too important to refuse. The first speaker approached the podium, a tall Sylvani male with traditional markings on his face. Lord Thender, one of the old noble houses. He had resisted the changes at first, but now worked with the council. The farms in the eastern province are producing again, he reported. Dragon fire has cleared the toxic residue left by hive weapons. The earth dragons have restored soil balance. The harvests will be smaller this season, but sufficient. The council members nodded, pleased with this news. Food security had been their first priority. After defense, a human representative spoke next. A woman named Grace from the Earth Science Division. Our analysis of dragon biology suggests the bond creates actual changes in human and Sylvani brain structure. She said, we believe the silver marks are physical manifestations of neural pathways forming between species. The old woman, Mira, nodded. As it was in ancient times, she confirmed. The marks show the path of magic, but science sees them differently. Both are true. Laurel listened, feeling the dragon network hum around her. Through the crown, she could sense the health of every bonded dragon. The strength of every rider. The network grew each day, becoming more stable. The silver marks had spread beyond the initial riders, now appearing on hundreds of people across the planet. The children entered the chamber, their dragons waiting outside, too large for the indoor space. May now spoke with the confidence of someone much older. She stepped to the podium, her lightning dragon visible through the large windows. "We have trained 50 new young riders," she reported. "Their dragons chose them, from orphans and refugees, kids who lost everything in the attack." She paused, letting her words sink in. "They have found new family in the dragons and each other." Diane continued, "Our training focuses on control and responsibility. Not just flying, but caring for dragons, understanding their needs. Communication through the bond is key. The younger the rider, the stronger the bond, it seems." Patricia, the youngest, stepped forward. "The shadow marks change as riders grow," she said, demonstrating how the silver patterns on her small arms shifted with her movements. "They adapt, becoming unique to each person and dragon." She smiled shyly. "Our dragons are still growing too." The council members applauded the children. Their program had succeeded beyond expectation. Young riders brought new energy and ideas to the Dragon Network, their minds open and adaptable. Empress Lyra stood to speak next. "The outer colonies have reported success in bonding native species with dragons," she said. "The Silver Network now extends to 3 star systems, each with its own dragon council connected through our central network." Laurel felt this connection stretch across space, the crown allowing her to reach dragons and riders light years away. It was both wonderful and exhausting maintaining such vast connections. A warning signal flashed on the council table. Emergency message from the Border Patrol. Everyone tensed, remembering the hive attack. General Ilara activated the communication system. A hologram appeared. Above the table, a dragon rider scout, her silver marks glowing against her dark skin. "General," she said, 3 unknown ships have entered the system. They do not match hive signatures, but they are heavily armed. Deploy the border dragons," ordered the general. "But hold attack position until we identify them." The council members looked at each other with concern, the memory of war still fresh. New visitors could mean new allies or new threats. Laurel closed her eyes, focusing on the distant dragon riders. She could see through their eyes. The 3 ships, sleek and black, moving fast toward the planet. They carried weapons. Yes, but they remained in passive mode. Not preparing to attack, I sense. "No hostility," she said, opening her eyes. "But great curiosity. The ships want to communicate." The communication system chimed incoming message. General Ilara looked to the Empress and Laurel. Both nodded. The general accepted the transmission. A new hologram formed, the image of a tall insectoid being, not hive, but similar in basic shape. This creature stood upright with 4 arms and compound eyes, but where hive soldiers were brutal and simple, this being wore elaborate clothing and jewelry. Intelligence shone in its faceted eyes. "Greetings," spoke the insect. "Person I am. Ambassador Zex of the Free Hive Collective. We come in peace." The council members murmured in shock and fear. General Ilara reached for her weapon. Empress Lyra held up her hand for silence. "Free Hive," she asked. "What does this mean?" The ambassador bowed slightly. "We broke from the Great Hive many cycles ago, seeking freedom from the central mind, that same mind that attacked your world. We have been watching from afar, learning about your victory. We wish to establish diplomatic relations." Laurel studied the ambassador through the crown, sensing no deception. But caution was still needed. "We will meet with you," she said. "But not here. Not yet. We will send representatives to neutral space." The ambassador agreed, seeming to understand their concerns. "We bring gifts," he added, "information about other hive colonies, those still loyal to the central mind. They will come looking for revenge when they learn of your victory." This warning sent a chill through the council. The hive was not defeated, only one branch of it. The war might not be over. When the transmission ended, discussion exploded in the chamber. Some wanted to prepare for war immediately. Others suggested seeking more allies through dragon bonding. Laurel listened to all views, feeling the fear beneath the words. The children approached her. May spoke first. "We should send dragon riders to meet them." She said dragons can sense truth better than any technology. Diane nodded. "If they really broke from the hive, they might become allies," she added. "They know how the enemy thinks." Patricia took Laurel's hand, her small fingers tracing the silver marks. "The free hive might want dragon bonds too," she said quietly. Her shadow dragon, seeing through walls and perceptions, had given her insights. Beyond her years, Kelsey, who had been taking notes, looked up. "These children understand diplomacy better than some of our council members." She whispered to Laurel. Empress Lyra joined them, having overheard. "The dragon bond teaches more than flying," she said. "It teaches connection, understanding, seeing from other perspectives." She looked at Laurel. "The crown shows you paths. What do you see?" Laurel focused on the crown, letting its ancient wisdom flow through her. She saw possibilities branching like silver rivers, some leading to renewed war, some to uneasy peace, some to true alliance. The path shifted constantly as choices were made and unmade. "We need to understand our enemy," she said finally. "And these free hive may help with that. But we also need to prepare our defenses. The Dragon Network must expand faster, reaching more worlds, creating more bonds." General Alara stepped forward. "I will select our best riders for diplomatic missions," she said, "and increase training for defense squadrons." The old woman Mira closed her history book. "I will search the ancient records," she offered. "There may be mention of the hive from before. Our ancestors might have encountered them." The council settled into planning groups, some focusing on diplomacy, others on defense. The children returned to their training program, eager to prepare more young riders. Empress Lyra worked with representatives from other worlds, strengthening the growing alliance. Laurel walked outside, needing air. The crown sometimes felt heavy with responsibility. She found her fire dragon waiting in the courtyard, his scales gleaming like copper in the sunlight. He sensed her troubled thoughts and nuzzled her shoulder. The awakening Laurel stood in the broken throne room. The crystal crown merged with her skin. The power flowing through her felt endless but strange. She could sense every dragon on the planet, both bonded and wild. She could feel the thoughts of every rider, including the children and Kelsey. Most amazing, she could sense the hive ships above the planet and the bug soldiers throughout the city. "This is too much," she whispered, her voice shaking. "How do I control it?" The old woman, Mira, stepped closer. "Do not try to control it," she advised. "Let it flow through you. Trust the ancient wisdom of the Crown Empress." Lyra watched with mixed feelings. The crown had been passed down her family line for countless generations. Now it sat on the head of a human woman, a distant relative with mixed blood. Yet she could not deny the rightness of it. The crown had chosen. Kelsey slid from her ice dragon and walked to her friend Laurel. She said, touching her arm gently, "Are you still in there?" Laurel blinked, focusing on Kelsey's face. "Yes," she said, "I can just see so much now." She turned to the Empress. "We need to stop the hive ships. They keep sending more troops. The ground forces are weakened without their queen, but they will keep fighting." More explosions rocked. The palace walls cracked and parts of the ceiling fell. Guards ran and Captain Alara at their front. "My queen," she called, "the East Wing has fallen. We are surrounded, Empress." Lyra turned to the captain. "Rally the remaining forces," she ordered. "We must hold until I can reach the ships," finished Laurel. Everyone looked at her confused. She pointed upward. Through the broken ceiling, they could see the red sky and the dark shapes of hive vessels. "I need to get up there," she said. "I can feel their weak points." "Impossible," said Captain Alara. "The ships have defense systems. Our own fleet was destroyed in the first attack." Laurel closed her eyes, focusing on what the crown was showing her. "I can see wild dragons in the mountains," she said. "Hundreds of them. They have hidden from the Sylvani for generations." The old woman nodded. "The wild ones," she said, "they broke from royal bonds long ago, choosing freedom over service." "I can call them," said Laurel. "They will answer." Her eyes snapped open. "We need to get to the high tower." The strongest signal point, Empress Lyra nodded to Captain Ilara, clear a path she ordered. The captain saluted and led her guards forward. May, Diane, and Patricia came closer with their dragons. The three children looked tired, but determined. "We want to help," said May. Laurel knelt to their level. "You have done so much already," she said. "But I need you for one more task." The children straightened, proud to be needed. Kelsey looked at her ice dragon, then at Laurel. "I never thought my research trip would turn out like this," she said with a small laugh. "I came to study Sylvani history, now I am part of it." The group moved through the palace, fighting through pockets of bug soldiers. The dragons cleared the way, breathing fire ice, lightning, and earth magic. The shadow dragon wrapped the group in darkness when needed, hiding them from enemy eyes. They reached the base of the high tower, but found the stairs destroyed. Laurel looked up, seeing the open sky above. "We need to fly," she said. The 5 dragons lowered themselves, allowing their riders to climb on Empress Lyra, mounted Vex, her loyal companion. The old woman Mira surprised everyone by climbing behind May on the lightning dragon. "I may be old," she said, "but I will see this through." The dragons took off, flying up through the broken tower. As they rose above the palace, they could see the full extent of the battle. The city burned in many places. Bug soldiers filled the streets, fighting with Sylvani guards and citizens. The sky darkened with hive ships, more arriving each moment. They reached the top of the tower, a flat platform once used for royal ceremonies. Now it was broken and burned, but still the highest point in the city. Laurel slid from her dragon and walked to the center of the platform. The crown glowed brighter as she raised her hands. The silver marks on her skin pulsed with power. Everyone felt the air grow heavy with energy. "What is she doing?" whispered Kelsey to the Empress. "Calling the wild ones," answered Lyra, her eyes wide with wonder. "No one has been able to speak to them for thousands of years." Laurel stood perfectly still, her mind reaching out across mountains and valleys, forests and caves. She found them, the wild dragons, hundreds living, in secret, some as large as buildings, some small as birds, all with ancient magic in their blood. She sent them images of the battle, the city burning, the people suffering, the hive ships bringing destruction. She did not command them. She asked for help. For long moments, nothing happened. The group waited, watching Laurel. The crown on her head glowed so bright it hurt to look at. Then they heard it, a distant roaring, growing louder. "Look," shouted Patricia, pointing to the mountains. From all directions, they came, dragons of every size and color, pouring from mountain caves, rising from deep forests, swimming up from ocean depths, flying in great swarms. They filled the sky, their wings blocking out the red light of the fires below. The wild dragons circled the tower, looking at Laurel. Some were ancient with battle scars and faded scales, some were young and fierce. All came in answer to her call, "Empress." Lyra gasped. "In all our history," she said, "we never knew there were so many." The old woman smiled. "The crown knows," she said, "it always knows." Laurel turned to the group. "I need to bond them to riders," she said, "but there are too many for me alone." The Empress stepped forward. "What do you need?" she asked. Everyone said Laurel. "Any person with a willing heart can bond now." The dragons will choose. Captain Ilara, who had followed them up, spoke. "I will gather volunteers," she said, and rushed back down. Soon people began arriving at the tower, Sylvani guards and citizens, humans from the Earth delegation, people from other worlds who had been visiting when the attack began. They looked afraid but determined, ready to help. Laurel raised her hands again, and the silver marks spread from her body, flowing like water across the platform, touching everyone. There, the marks connected them all in a great network. Each person glowed briefly as the bond magic flowed through them. The wild dragons watched, choosing their riders. One by one they landed. People stepped forward, forming new bonds. Some dragons chose Sylvani, some chose humans, some chose other aliens. The old divisions of species and rank meant nothing. The dragons chose based on spirit and heart. Kelsey watched amazed as ordinary people became dragon riders in moments. Scientists, teachers, workers. children, all finding new purpose, all connected through the dragon bond. Laurel felt each new bond form like a star lighting in her mind, a great constellation of connected souls. She turned her attention upward to the hive ships. Now she said, "We end this." The newly bonded dragon riders took to the sky, a vast army rising from the broken city. They followed Laurel and her fire dragon, climbing higher and higher. The air grew thin, but the dragon magic protected them. The hive ships tried to defend themselves. Weapon systems fired energy beams cutting through the air, but the dragons were too many and too fast. They dodged and weaved, avoiding the attacks. Laurel directed the attack through the shared bond network. She could see the weak points in the hive ships, the engine cores, the command centers. The weapon systems fire dragons attacked the engines, melting through metal shells. Ice dragons froze weapon systems, making them brittle and useless. Lightning dragons disrupted control systems. Earth dragons tore through hull plating. Shadow dragons slipped inside ships, confusing crews and disabling controls from within. The children with their dragons led smaller groups, showing skill beyond their years. Patricia dove her shadow dragon through the command ship, appearing inside the bridge, frightening the bug crew into abandoning their posts. May sent lightning storms through communication arrays, cutting off signals between ships. Diane and her Earth dragon crushed weapon turrets with rocks pulled from the planet's surface. Empress Lyra and Vex flew beside Laurel, attacking the largest hive ship. The old woman Mira directed experienced Sylvani riders in defensive formations, protecting the newer riders from counter attacks from the ground. The battle looked like a storm of dragons surrounding the dark shapes of hive ships. Explosions lit the sky as ships began to fall. Some crashed into empty fields. Some were guided by dragon riders to crash into the ocean, preventing more damage to the city. Laurel felt the tide turning, the hive forces losing ground. The bug soldiers on the surface becoming confused and disorganized without their ships and queen. But something dark remained at the heart of the largest ship, something ancient and evil. She directed her fire dragon toward it, feeling drawn to confront this final threat. Kelsey followed, sensing her friend's purpose through their bond. The Empress came to, understanding that the battle would not end until this darkness was defeated. They landed on the command ship, breaking through the outer hull. Their dragons tore an opening into the central chamber. There they found it, a massive brain-like creature floating in a tank of green liquid tendrils, extended from it, connecting to ship systems and communication devices. This was the true hive mind. The queen had only been its voice. This was the controlling intelligence behind the invasion. "It has been hiding," she said. "This is why they attacked. This thing wants your world." The brain creature pulsed with angry red light. Psychic energy radiated from it, hitting the three women with waves of fear and doubt. Laurel staggered under the mental assault. The crown flickered as the creature tried to break her connection to the dragon network. "You are nothing," it spoke directly into their minds. "Your species are weak, divided. The hive is eternal. We consume, we grow, we evolve. You cannot stop the inevitable." Laurel fought against the mental, the hidden lineage. The battle inside the palace throne room changed fast. The 5 new dragons with their human riders attacked the bug soldiers from all sides. Laurel on her fire dragon swooped low-breathing flame that melted through the hard shells of the hive troops. Kelsey surprised herself with how well she controlled her ice dragon. The bond between them grew stronger each minute, letting her direct freezing blasts without speaking. The floor became slippery with ice, making the bug soldiers slide and fall. The 3 children proved even more amazing. Little Patricia on the shadow dragon seemed to know just what to do. Her dragon could make parts of the room go dark, hiding the Sylvani guards who then attacked from the shadows. May with her lightning dragon sent electric shocks through groups of enemies, while Diane and her earth dragon made the ground rise up to trap the bug soldiers. Empress Lyra watched with wonder as these humans, most who had never seen dragons before today, fought like they had trained for years. With Vex at her side, she joined the battle, her crystal staff glowing with ancient power. The Hive Queen screamed with rage as her forces fell back. "This is not possible," she yelled in her clicking language. "How can humans bond with dragons?" She had studied the Sylvani for years before attacking, knowing only royal elves could control the great beasts. Now her perfect plan was ruined. Laurel felt strange new knowledge filling her mind. As she flew through the air on her fire dragon, she began to understand things about herself that had always been hidden. The silver marks on her skin glowed brighter, connecting her not just to her dragon, but to the other riders too. Through this connection, she sensed something about the Bug Queen. Something important. "We need to target the queen," she called to the others. "She controls the hive mind." The Empress nodded in agreement and pointed her staff toward the floating throne, where the Bug Queen watched the battle. Her throne was protected by a force field, and her biggest guard stood around her. "We need to work together," said Laurel, flying closer to the Empress. "I have an idea." As they talked quickly, the battle continued around them. The palace wall shook with the force of dragon attacks. The Bug Army still had thousands of soldiers, but without clear orders from their queen, they became less organized. The Sylvani guards took advantage, fighting with new hope. Kelsey flew her ice dragon next to Laurel. "What are you planning?" she asked. Her hands shook on the crystal spikes, but her voice stayed steady. Laurel pointed to the high ceiling above the throne room. "The children and I will attack from below. You and the Empress go above. Break through the roof and hit the queen from both sides." Empress Lyra looked at Laurel with new respect. "Your plan is good," she said, "but only royal blood can command dragons in battle formation. How are you doing this?" "There is no time to explain now," said Laurel. "We must act fast." The Empress agreed, and she and Vex followed Kelsey and her ice dragon up toward a broken section of the ceiling. The Bug Queen saw them leave and laughed, thinking they were running away. Laurel gathered the three children and their dragons in a tight circle. "Listen," she said, "we need to attack together all at once. Hit the queen with everything we have." May looked scared but nodded. Her lightning dragon sparked with power, ready to fight. "Are we going to die?" asked Diane, her voice. Small Laurel touched the girl's shoulder. "No," she said with more confidence than she felt. "We are going to win." Patricia, the youngest, smiled, her shadow dragon wrapping its tail around her protectively. "The queen is scared," she said. "I can feel it." The 4 human riders lined up their dragons facing the Bug Queen and her guards. The queen saw them and pointed her forearms. "Forward, kill them," she ordered. Outside the palace walls, the city burned. Hive dropships continued to land, bringing more bug soldiers. The sky turned red with smoke and fire. The people who had hidden in safe buildings watched with fear, thinking all was lost. Among the crowd, a very old elf woman leaned on her walking stick, her white hair tied in a simple braid, her eyes fixed on the palace. "I feel something," she whispered to herself. "Something waking up." She had once served in the royal court many years ago before retiring. The old woman closed her eyes, focusing on the energy she felt. "A bloodline returning," she said. A promise, fulfilled back in the throne room. Laurel gave the signal. Now she yelled. The 4 dragons attacked at once. Fire, earth, lightning, and shadow powers combined in a massive blast aimed at the Bug Queen. At the same moment, from above, the ceiling crashed. In ice shards and broken stone fell as Empress Lyra, Vex, and Kelsey on her ice dragon dove down toward the queen. The Bug Queen tried to escape her floating throne, moving backward, but she found herself trapped between 2 powerful attacks. The force field around her flickered and failed. The Bug Queen screamed as dragon fire touched her. She had 4 arms but too many enemies. The combined attack hit her from all sides. Her guards tried to protect her, but they too fell. Laurel felt something strange happening. The silver marks on her skin spread, connecting all 5 dragons and their riders. She could feel everyone, even Empress Lyra and Vex. Their minds joined in battle, focus. Their powers grew stronger. The Bug Queen fell from her throne, her shell cracking. Her red eyes dimmed as she hit the floor. The linked minds of dragons and riders pushed into her thoughts, breaking her control over the hive army. Without their queen, the bug soldiers lost purpose. Some continued fighting by instinct, but most became confused. Many turned on each other, some simply stopped moving. The battle was not over yet, but the worst had passed. Empress Lyra landed beside Laurel. Both women breathed hard from the effort of the fight. "You have changed," everything said, the Empress looking at the human with new eyes. "Who are you, really?" Laurel slid from her dragon, feeling suddenly tired now that the fighting had paused. "My grandmother," she said. Her name was Alara. She was a Sylvani scout. Her ship crashed on Earth 70 years ago, the Empress gasped. "That name, I knew her. She was my cousin. She disappeared on a mission. We thought she died." Laurel nodded. "She did, but not before falling in love with my grandfather and having a child. My mother." She looked human, but sometimes she would know things, see things. "My mother died when I was young, but she told me stories about her mother. Stories I thought were just fairy tales." The Empress reached out, touching the silver marks on Laurel's arm. "These are royal bond marks," she said. "Only those of direct royal blood can form them, and never have I seen someone bond with multiple dragons through others. It should be impossible." The old woman from the crowd had made her way into the palace. She walked slowly through, the battle debris leaning on her stick. When she reached the throne room, she stopped, looking at Laurel with wise eyes. "I know what happened." She said, her voice stronger than her body looked. "The old prophecy." The joining of worlds. Empress Lyra turned. Recognizing the elder lady Mira, she said with respect, "What do you mean?" The old woman. Mira walked closer. "Human blood mixed with royal Sylvani blood has created something new." She explained, "Our dragons have always been limited, bonding only with royal elves, but humans have different minds, more open, more adaptive. The mixing has allowed the old magic to grow in new ways." Laurel listened, feeling the truth of the words. She could still feel the other riders through their shared bond. Kelsey looked, overwhelmed by everything, but the children seemed to accept it all with the simple faith of the young. "But why now?" asked the Empress. "Why did this power wake now when we needed it most?" The old woman smiled. "Dragons know," she said. "They sleep until the right moment, waiting for the one who can hear them all." The royal line was growing too narrow, too fixed. The dragons needed new blood to survive. A loud boom shook the room. A section of wall collapsed as a huge hive soldier burst through. It was twice the size of the others, a special guard for the queen. It charged toward the Empress, its pincers raised to strike before anyone could react. Patricia stepped forward, her shadow dragon beside her. The small girl raised her hand and darkness flowed. From her fingertips surrounding the giant bug, it froze in place, trapped in shadow. "I can hold it," she said. Her voice strained but determined. May and her lightning dragon moved next to Patricia. Lightning jumped from dragon to girl to the shadow prison. The giant bug convulsed as electricity ran through it. Diane completed the attack. Her earth dragon stomped, causing the floor under the bug to crack and swallow it. The three children working together had defeated an enemy that would have taken a squad of guards to bring down. Kelsey flew down on her ice dragon, landing beside Laurel. "Did you see that?" she asked, amazed. The kids, they fought like they had trained together for years. The old woman nodded. "The dragon bond. It connects them," she explained. "They share knowledge, skills, even instincts." More bug soldiers were coming, though fewer than before. Without their queen, they fought with less purpose but still dangerous. Laurel could hear them coming through the broken walls. "We need to finish this," she said, turning to the Empress. "The hive ships are still landing troops. We need to stop them at the source." "Empress." Lyra looked thoughtful. "For generations," she said, "my family has ruled because only we could command the dragons." The crown she touched, the crystal circle on her head. "It amplifies the royal bond. It might help you reach further." Before Laurel could respond, the Empress removed her crown. "For 10,000 years this has sat on royal heads," she said. "But perhaps it was waiting for something new." She held it out to Laurel. Laurel backed away. "I can't take that," she said. "I'm not even fully Sylvani." The old woman stepped closer. "The crown does not care about blood purity," she said. "It cares about the fallen crown." Empress Lyra, last queen of the Sylvani elven race, hid behind broken walls of her crystal palace. Her once bright silver hair hung in messy clumps around her face with purple blood from her dead warriors. Next to her, Vex, her bonded dragon friend, tried to fix his hurt wing. Smoke came from his nose as he made low warning sounds at moving shadows. The Hive Collective had attacked during peace talks, killing her royal guards and trapping the Empress in her own throne room. After 3 days of hard fighting, Lyra's army was almost gone, her messages blocked, and her space friends did not know she was in trouble. "We cannot hold much longer," Lyra said, touching her hand to Vex's scaly side. The mind link between them shared their pain and fear. "The east wall will fall when night comes." From her spot on top of the palace tower, Lyra could see the group of people who ran away to hide those who looked for safety inside the capital walls when the attack started. Among them were many space people, including a small group from Earth humanity's first visit to the Sylvani homeworld. What Lyra did not know was that among those humans stood Laurel Baker, a normal-looking history writer with a secret that would change the war. Laurel had come to Sylvani Prime to write about the first meeting between humans and elves. She kept quiet with her notebook in hand, writing about the mess around her, looking calm while hiding her growing fear. No one knew that Laurel's grandmother was a Sylvani scout who crashed on Earth 70 years ago and fell in love with a human before dying when having a baby. The elf blood got weaker over time, making Laurel look fully human, except for one big thing she had the sleeping power to make: a dragon bond, a special link thought to be only for pure royal Sylvani blood. As the attack got worse, Laurel felt a strange pulling in her mind, a spirit rope growing stronger each time Empress Lyra used her bond with Vex to fight back against the Hive Collective's forces. "Something is happening," said Kelsey Moore, Laurel's work friend, seeing her friend turn pale. "Are you okay?" Laurel could not explain the pictures filling her mind: flight paths, weak spots in the hive's shape, and most scary, the place of baby dragon eggs hidden under the palace, the last ones alive, their life power fading without proper spirit care. "I have to get to the palace," Laurel said suddenly, standing up. "There's something I must do." The trip through the war-torn capital was very dangerous. 2 times Laurel and Kelsey almost ran into hive guards, bug-like soldiers with hard shell armor and jaw parts that could cut through metal. They moved through underground tunnels guided by Laurel's strange new knowing of the city paths. They came into a deep room under the palace base. The air buzzed with weird energy, and glowing crystals made blue light across the room. Laurel walked to a round dip in the center, where 5 big shiny eggs sat in a bed of glowing crystal pieces. "I can feel them," she said. "They are dying," without knowing how she knew what to do. Laurel put her hands on the closest egg. It was warm, and she felt a mind touch hers, young, scared, and fading. "They need a bond," she said, her voice far away as her mind grew. "The Empress is too busy with her own dragon to keep them alive." Kelsey watched amazed as a glowing line pattern began to shine under Laurel's skin, moving up her arms like silver drawings, the clear marks of a Sylvani bondmaker. "Laurel, what are you doing?" she asked with shock. "Saving them," Laurel answered. "And maybe all of us," as her sleeping Sylvani blood fully woke up. Laurel made spirit links with all 5 dragon babies at the same time, something no Sylvani in known history had ever done. The eggs began to pulse with new life cracks spreading across their surfaces as the room filled with light. Meanwhile, the Hive Collective pushed harder against the palace walls. The bug-like soldiers climbed over each other, making living bridges to cross the defense lines. Their queen, a huge insect with glowing red eyes and 4 arms, watched from her floating throne. "Soon the elf queen will fall, and this world will feed our young ones for many seasons." The Sylvani guards fought brave, but tired, their crystal spears and light bows no match for the endless bug army. More and more elves fell their bodies, adding to the growing pile of dead. Inside the throne room, a small group of royal guards stood in a circle around Empress Lyra and Vex. The dragon looked weak, his scales less bright, his fire almost gone from too much fighting. "My queen," said Captain Alara, her armor cracked and bloody. "The south gate has fallen. We must get you to the escape ships." "Never," said Lyra, her eyes hard. "With pride I will not leave my people, my world." She touched the crown on her head, a living crystal that held the spirit of all past rulers. "We fight until the last breath." The ground under them shook hard, making everyone grab for support. The walls cracked and dust fell from the high ceiling. A loud roar came from deep below, so powerful it made the hive soldiers stop their attack. "What was that?" asked Captain Alara, looking around with fear. Empress Lyra felt it first, a rush of power, a surge of life where there was none before. Vex raised his head, his eyes wide with surprise. "Impossible," he said through their mind link. "The lost ones live." Lyra closed her eyes, feeling the surge of dragon power growing stronger. "Something has changed," she said. "A new power rises." In the crystal chamber deep below, Laurel stood in the middle of 5 half-broken eggshells. Around her 5 young dragons stretched their wings, each one different in color and kind. A red one with fire coming from its mouth, a blue ice dragon with frost on its scales, a green one with small lightning bolts jumping between its horns, a brown earth dragon with rock-like skin, and a black one that seemed to fade in and out of sight. Kelsey backed against the wall, her eyes wide with wonder and fear. "How did you do this?" she asked. "They look months old, not newborns." Laurel looked at her hands, now covered with glowing silver marks that moved like living things. "I gave them my life force," she said. "They grew fast because they had to. The battle above needs them." The 5 dragons moved closer to Laurel, rubbing against her like cats showing love. She put her hand on each one, feeling their minds touch hers. They were young, but ready to fight. Their growth magic came from old dragon power sleeping in their blood, woken by human spirit strength. "We need to go up," she said. "There is not much time." Kelsey, still pressed against the wall, shook her head. "I can't help with this. I'm just a history writer, not a dragon rider." The blue ice dragon turned its head toward Kelsey. Its eyes glowed with white light. It made a soft sound and walked toward her. She tried to back up more, but the wall stopped her. The dragon touched its nose to her hand, and frost patterns spread up her arm. Laurel smiled. "You have been chosen," she said. "These dragons need riders to help focus their power. The ice one wants you." Before Kelsey could answer, 3 small shapes ran into the room from a side tunnel, 3 children who had been hiding in the deep places since the attack started. The oldest, a girl with dark skin and short hair named May, looked about 12 years old. She stopped when she saw the dragons, her mouth open in shock. Behind her came Diane, a red-haired girl, maybe 10, and little Patricia, who could not be more than 7. The green lightning dragon, the brown earth one, and the black shadow dragon turned toward the children, making happy sounds. "It seems we all have jobs now," said Laurel, feeling the dragon's excitement. "We must hurry. The Empress needs us, above ground." The final battle for the palace had begun. The hive forces had broken through the main gate, thousands of bug soldiers pouring into the grand hall. Empress Lyra stood on the steps of her throne, Vex beside her, ready for their last stand. A giant explosion rocked the floor beneath them. A section of marble cracked open, and through it burst 5 young dragons, each with a rider on its back. The red fire dragon in front carried Laurel, her eyes glowing silver like the Empress. The ice dragon followed, with Kelsey holding tight to its crystal spikes. Then came the others, each with a child rider. Empress shouted, Laurel steering her dragon to land near the throne. "I bring help." The hive soldiers stopped their attack. Confused by the new threat, the bug queen hissed with anger. More dragons. She had not planned for this. Vex rose up taller, his strength returning as he sensed his kin. "Now we fight back," he said. Through the bond, Lyra stared at Laurel, seeing the bond marks on her skin. "You have Sylvani blood," she said. "How is this possible?" "No time to explain," said Laurel. "The children and I can hear each other's thoughts through the dragons. We can attack together." The Empress nodded and raised her crystal staff. "Attack," she commanded. The dragons launched into action. Fire, ice, lightning, earth, and shadow powers hit the bug army from all sides. The children riders, though scared, held tight, directing their dragons with newfound skills. The tide of battle had turned.